their willingness to wield power in a way that is unapologetic in the face of all the crying and whining from the left. They need as much practice, Clay, as they can get at this, as far as I'm concerned. The more things they do that make AOC take to the floor of Congress to scream and shout about how awful things are, the better prepared they are for the kinds of decisions they should make as members of Congress to move the country in the right direction. That's what I think. So get used to it. Get practiced. Interesting to see what's going on with the GOP-led House just here in the beginning of February of this year. We know there's been some wrangling in the last month or so over who is going to be in leadership, and now committee assignments are getting done. And the GOP-led House has kicked Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee because of past anti-Semitic comments. So this was 218 Republicans voted to strip her of the assignment, 211 Democrats backing their colleague in this one. And they cited statements, a range of them. I just thought it was interesting, Clay. Did you see, and we might even have this audio from earlier in the week, her claim that she was completely unaware that there were any tropes that had anything to do with anti-Semitism about the Jewish people and money or finance. That her defense is, I had no idea that was a thing. You're a member of Congress. You live in America for a long time. You're going to claim, imagine if you tried that with any other group. Oh, that stereotype, that's deeply offensive to that group. I had no idea. I don't know how that would go as a defense.
Well, they don't allow that defense to exist is the answer. And this is, AOC and Rashida Tlaib and all these other members of the squad lost their minds kind of talking about this. Remember, it didn't get that much attention. Ilhan Omar almost lost her congressional seat, didn't she? Or was it Rashida Tlaib? I can't remember which of them. One of them, I think it was Ilhan Omar. I need to look this up. Almost lost to a guy who raised no money. And I think it's I think it's kind of part and parcel of how little influence, and this is maybe one thing Nancy Pelosi got right, is remember when she came out and she said, oh, they're just 3 votes or whatever it was. She just nearly lost, Ilhan Omar did, in her Minnesota district, only won by a tiny amount. And she was running against a guy who raised almost no money. And I think it's evidence of how little influence these individuals actually have outside of their tiny little sphere on social media. AOC doesn't actually motivate very much. Remember, we had a couple of times the town meetings that she's had, the sort of town halls where she's answering questions, and people show up and just eviscerate her. And there's hardly anybody there, and the people who do show up don't like her. I think this is evidence of how rigged social media has been to make them seem as if they are more influential than they are, and as if their audience is more influential than it is. She won her primary, by the way, Buck, by 2 points. She almost lost to a guy who raised only a few $100s to run against her in her Minneapolis area district. That's pretty incredible. Her district, by the way, is a Democrat plus 57 district. So it's among the safest of all Democrat seats in the entire country, but she very narrowly won her primary in 2022.
But it's interesting that there's already, you can see a little bit of friction coming from some who, first of all, we need to get a label that we can affix to anybody who makes a living going on television saying that they in some way represent the GOP or conservatism or whatever, when all they do is attack the GOP. That there needs to be some designation for this. I know some people are probably throwing 4-letter words out there, but I'm just saying there needs to be some way you describe these frauds. But you are seeing people who are saying, oh, we shouldn't play the game this way. And by the way, on the right and on the left, I don't think we have it, but you might have seen AOC went, oh my gosh, she went, took the dial to 11 on this one because they say it's just about kicking a woman of color off of the committee. Has nothing to do with the very clear anti-Semitic comments that she's made numerous times in the past and for which she has been forced to apologize.
Also, Schiff and Swalwell were kicked off, and they are white guys, right? So was it racist to kick them off too? I don't know.
I was just going to say, also, elections have consequences. Tough. I mean, what are we really going to pretend like radical left-wing members of Congress shouldn't get booted when Republicans come in from their committee assignments? They're still representing their constituencies. It's just such crybabyism, It's why are they kicking these people off? Same thing with Swalwell, same thing with Schiff, all of them. All this crying, yeah, you guys are in the minority now. Deal with it, libs. And by the way, I think worse is coming in 2024.
We've got the audio of Ilhan Omar saying she wasn't aware that she was engaging in anti-Semitic tropes. Here it is.
I might have used words at the time that I didn't understand were trafficking in anti-Semitism. When that was brought to my attention, I apologized. I owned up to it. That's the kind of person that I am. And I continue to work with my colleagues and my community to fight against anti-Semitism. I certainly did not or was not aware that the word hypnotize was a trope. I wasn't aware of the fact that there are tropes about Jews and money. That has been a very enlightening part of this journey.
That is not, by the way, I do not believe that she is an adult, human, American member of Congress. And she did, and that's never crossed her mind. She's never heard that before. I refuse to believe that that's true. I think she's just lying.
Well, she's also obsessed with not giving Jewish people, like, their due, right? Because her argument is Palestine's been treated unfairly. So it's not as if she is regularly not speaking on these issues, right? Which makes it even more clear that she's lying about what she did or didn't know. She's always talking about Israel and Palestine. And you're telling me that in all of those discussions, she never became aware of Jewish stereotypes and wasn't intentionally playing into them in the way that she was sending her messages out. That's a flat out lie. I think maybe she didn't expect the criticism that she got for it. I can buy that. But the idea that she didn't know, no, that's crazy.
I am happy to see, though, that Republicans are taking action, and that Kevin McCarthy is holding together Republicans on these votes to kick these offending members of the Democrat Party out of committee assignments. How much will this really matter to the future of the country, to the American people? Not very much. I'm not trying to overstate it, but it's putting people on notice. There's a message being sent here, and just a willingness for the GOP. When it has political power, when it is in the majority, in this case just in the House, unfortunately, but their willingness to wield power in a way that is unapologetic in the face of all the crying and whining from the left, they need as much practice, Clay, as they can get at this, as far as I'm concerned. The more things they do that make AOC take to the floor of Congress to scream and shout about how awful things are, the better prepared they are for the kinds of decisions they should make as members of Congress to move the country in the right direction. That's what I think. So get used to it. Get practiced.
We did want to play you the audio of AOC losing her mind, which I believe we now have grabbed. This was a little bit earlier in the day on the House floor as Ilhan Omar is being pulled off of her committee assignment. AOC, here she is. Enjoy.
Don't tell me that this is about a condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks when you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology.
Time has expired.
When my life was threatened. Thank you.
What? First of all, who's supposed to apologize her because there are death threats from lunatics out there, which every public figure that I can think of has to contend with?
It's unfortunate, and I wish it didn't exist. But this idea that if somebody makes a death threat to you, you are going to use it for political advantage, and it's evidence of how awful your opponents are. Look, it's unfortunate. In the public eye, people say awful things to you all day long, every day.
Just imagine, I'm a member of Congress, and I'm in a floor debate with other members of Congress or whatever, and I'm saying, yeah, guys, I really don't agree with putting my signature on that trade bill, and you know what? If you disagree with me, then you're siding with the rando that emailed me a death threat a week ago. Is that a fair way to approach anything? I mean, I'm just wondering. Is that like emotional blackmail or what?
It's supposed to be a trump card. Yeah, it's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like, you can't disagree with me because the people who disagree with me are so vile, they're trying to kill me. That's basically what she's saying. And it's a strange way to end that bit. I think we also have Rashida Tlaib, who started to cry over this. So you can enjoy this as well.
Censor Congresswoman Omar in the same week. They introduced a bill to ban federal employees from engaging in censorship. Where are the free speech warriors today? The hypocrisy is obvious to the American people. You are showing who you all are, really.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Omar will not be silenced.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
To Congresswoman Omar, I am so sorry,
has expired.
That our country is failing you today through this chamber. You belong.
The gentlewoman is no longer recognized.
Oh my
gosh. People, Buck,
what is that?
Who are these emotional lunatics who hear that and think, I'm so glad they're speaking out for me? This is why I say these people don't have actual audiences. They really don't. This is a total, I really believe this, manufactured, social media created idea that the squad is super influential. Can we play that one more time? She sounds like a completely unhinged lunatic. This is on the floor of the House of Representatives. Whatever your political opinions are, if you heard this woman, would you be like, yeah, I'm with her?
Censor Congresswoman Omar in the same week. They introduced a bill to ban federal employees from engaging in censorship. Where are the free speech warriors today? The hypocrisy is obvious to the American people. You are showing who you all are, really.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Omar will not be silenced.
The gentlewoman's time has expired.
Omar,
the gentlewoman's time has expired.
That our country is failing you today through this chamber. You belong.
The gentlewoman is no longer recognized.
We need to start grabbing a few audio clips. The last 6 seconds there is totally unhinged lunatic behavior. Can we just grab that audio and save it so every now and then when we're upset?
It's not. She's not even being fired from her job, or she's just not on the Foreign Affairs Committee anymore. Not everybody in Congress gets to be on the Foreign Affairs Committee. They removed her from a committee. What are we even talking about over there?
Also, man, what a bad public speaker. Just the voice inflection is so strange and off-putting. And this is what I was saying the other day that I think is unfortunate. I really wish that we had, the IQ level of our politicians, I think, is far too low to get very high-level representation. There are a lot of dumb people. To be fair, of both political parties, there are a lot of dumb people who are in Congress and in the Senate and, frankly, in the governor's offices. It's really they just can't process information, and so they end up just screaming really in a strange way. That was just super weird to be happening on the House floor.
Yes.
Right? that's
it
really
strange. Was just inappropriate.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
How could you be she made the case that I wish I could make? That's what you should want your congressman to make. If you heard the last 8 seconds of that speech, was anybody out there I'm so glad she's speaking up for me? The average person in her district could be more eloquent.
I would be willing to bet. We can check on this. You know who's going to have a speaking slot tonight in prime time on MSNBC? That congresswoman.
It makes me think it's a really bad Lifetime drama when somebody is confronting, they finally found out who the killer was. That's what the screaming session sounds like. Like, you belong in this country. We found you. Like, I can't even believe that was a real speech on the House floor just in the last couple of hours. To your point, Buck, over a committee seat.
Right.
Like,
no one's
really?
getting sent to prison here. You know what I mean? It's not that big a deal.
It's like Not Without My Daughter back in the way. You'd think that the Iranians were trying to take her daughter away from her. There's an old school 1980s movie reference for you.
Is that Sally Field?
I think it was Sally Field.
Oh,
playing an Iranian woman. I don't know. That might have been cultural appropriation.